It's a great pleasure to speak to you. I'm in Milan at the CEORL HNS conference with Professor Ray Clarke, former editor of ENT and Audiology News. Lovely to see Ray, and it's great to meet colleagues here at a congress after such a long period of not having face-to-face meetings. Hello, Ray.
Hi. Yes, it is indeed good to meet face-to-face after such a difficult few years. So, yes, delighted to see you and indeed friends and colleagues.
Indeed. So we're going to talk about a couple of different things.
Sure.
Talk a bit about ESPO to start with. The European Society of Paediatric Otolaryngology, hosted in Liverpool next year. Tell us, what are the headline speakers from your point of view?
We're very excited, looking forward to it. The focus is on science, clinicians and families and how we all work together. And we very much put an emphasis on that collaborative working that's such a feature of paediatric ENT. Our keynote speakers are from the world of science and from the world of otolaryngology. We have 4 keynote speakers, 2 of whom are clinician scientists. One is Andy Pollard, whom many people will have heard of during the pandemic. He is a paediatrician with a special interest in virology, and he is based in Oxford, and he's going to talk about HPV vaccine, which is of great interest to paediatric ENT. Stephen O'Reilly, who is director of the Wellcome Research Centre in Cambridge, is going to talk. He is an endocrinologist, but his real focus is on translating scientific discoveries, if you like, bench to bedside, translating them into making sure that they're of relevance to clinicians and to patients. He's a very engaging speaker, so we're looking forward to that. We also have Hannah Burns, who is a paediatric ENT in Australia. And Hannah did something quite extraordinary at the start of the pandemic. She set up a WhatsApp group, which was a forum for interconnection between paediatric ENTs across the world. And it was a forum for discussion largely focused on the pandemic and how that affected us. But it has mushroomed into really a huge global network of paediatric ENT. And they share information, share best practice, etc. It really has been a remarkable phenomenon. So we're looking forward to hearing Hannah as well. Okay. Other keynote speaker we have is Jarek, who's a good friend and colleague of mine from Poznan. Jarek has been involved in supporting Ukrainian children and indeed Ukrainian otolaryngologists during the war. He had a practice where he visited hospitals in Ukraine. Clearly that isn't possible, so he is now looking after children in his own hospital in Poznan, and he's going to share his experience on really how we as otolaryngologists can support colleagues in the traumatic circumstances that have arisen. So again, looking forward to that. And as well as the keynotes, of course, we have multiple sessions on all aspects of paediatric ENT. So I think it'll be a very, very exciting meeting.
And that's 20th to the 23rd of May next year. I've lost track slightly of where and when the last ESPO meeting was.
Well, we last met in Stockholm. Well, last met face-to-face in Stockholm. We did have a meeting which my colleague Jean-Michel Trillier put together. It was scheduled for Marseille. We decided we couldn't meet in Marseille. That was last year, and we had to meet virtually online. It was a wonderful meeting, but of course we're all really desperately keen to meet face-to-face. So by the time we meet, it'll be 5 years since the ESPO community has met.
Gosh, I know there are lots of meetings that just haven't happened. And your role within ESPO, you are president, overlord?
Yeah, I'm president-elect. Jean-Michel remains president until the Liverpool meeting. But the traditional arrangement with ESPO is that the president of the Congress becomes the president of ESPO for the subsequent 2 years. So having won the bid to host it in Liverpool, I take over from Jean-Michel.
Fantastic. And we've seen Sujata Day here as well. She's got a key role.
Sue has an absolutely key role. Sue has been supporting me in putting together the academic programme, and she has contacted multiple speakers. I don't know when she sleeps, I don't know when she sees her husband and kids, but she has been an extraordinary font of energy and wisdom, and really she's been largely responsible for putting the academic programme together.
Fantastic. And your role over this year has changed. Things changed a bit in May. Tell us what happened.
I have retired from clinical practice and just now focus on teaching and university work. So that's good. It gives me a little more time to work on ESPO.
and one of the things that you've got a particular interest in is the history of ENT, I know. And there was something I didn't know about the Titanic. What's the story about the Titanic?
Oh gosh, yes. Many years ago I did a little work on, I searched the inventory of people who had sailed on the Titanic, because it occurred to me we were bound to have an ENT surgeon who sailed on the Titanic. And indeed we had a very engaging character called Ernest Morowek. And Morowek sadly was lost at sea when the Titanic went down. But it transpired, looking into his background, he was travelling to Europe to make inquiries in relation to an inheritance that he had got from a lady whom he had befriended. It transpired he was actually a rather dark character. He had befriended a middle-aged lady who became infatuated with him. She was a German lady, lived in Berlin, and she left him a large part of her fortune. It transpires that she died in rather mysterious circumstances. So her family became alarmed and probed this issue, and it transpires that not only this lady had died under Dr. Morowek's care, but several well-to-do elderly ladies had died and left him money.
It's a very dark story, yeah.
And perhaps it's as well that he was lost at sea, because he was wanted by the police in New York, and I think might have had a difficult time on his return.
We've had some colourful characters in ENT, but I think that takes the biscuit, doesn't it?
Sounds like he was a rather unsavoury fellow.
Jeez, it does indeed. Now listen, we're going to finish just by, I know you probably don't want to chat about yourself very much, but will you, if you'll just humour me for 2 minutes?
Yes, of course.
Scott Brown.
Yes. Oh gosh, that was a huge task. Yes,
I can imagine. Yeah. How did that come about?
Well, I had been involved in the paediatric section when Mike Gleason was the editor, and Mike was looking around for a successor, and he approached several people, and he approached John Watkinson. John, I think, needed somebody to help and support him, and I initially was very reluctant, but eventually, between Mike and John, they persuaded me. So I got involved, and it was several years painstaking work.
It's a heck of a task, isn't it? Yeah, I know. It's the end result is absolutely fantastic, and you've been recognised in lots of different ways by different organisations, including a silver scalpel. Tell us about the silver scalpel.
That was a great pleasure. That was about 20 years ago. It's awarded by the Association of Otolaryngologists in training, and I think very few ENT surgeons have been awarded. So it was a great filler for the specialty. Yes, it was a surprise and a joy. So it's on my desk at home.
I'm sure it's very, very well deserved. Well, look, Ray, we'll say as the tannoy tells us to go into the next session, it's lovely to chat to you. Thank you very much, and see you at ESPO in May next year.
Okay.
Cheers.
Yes,